Hello, my name is Greg Stapleton, and I'm the Director of Network Services at the Regional Food Bank. Thank you for joining us today, and you have reached the HipNap Operations Support Application Walkthrough video. We're going to have a total of 3 videos for walkthroughs for applying for these grants. One is the HipNap application walkthrough, one is the HipNap OS application walkthrough, which is this one, and then the third one is how do you set up an account in the grant application system. So I want to make sure you're in the right spot. This is the HipNap operations support walkthrough video. So now that we've sort of covered that, you're in the right spot. You're going to get to the page you see on the screen now by visiting the partner portal in the Regional Food Bank website. Once you get in there, you'll see how you apply. You'll click on the link. It'll take you to a web page. On there, it'll tell you where to apply, and you'll come to this site. You'll log in, and you'll come to this site. This is the application. But before I show you the application and walk you through the application, I want to click on this. I want to click on this preview button. This preview button gives you a PDF preview of the application. You can see it here, funding categories, all the details, everything's here, the questions are here, and so on and so forth. I point it out to you because you may need to collect information before you apply. And downloading this PDF, then printing this PDF, is the perfect way to make sure you have all of the information you're going to need before you apply. So just download the PDF, print it out, take a look at it, go through, make sure you have everything that you'll need to then walk through the application. So all of that being said, I click on the apply button, and it takes me into the application. Spinning for just a minute. There we go. It's taken me into the application. Now, you'll notice here, this is my test setup. This is me, my name, my email address, my phone number, my mailing address. This is the organization that I work for, Greg's Food Test Site, my EIN number. All of that information I had already set up. Again, that's a separate video. If you want to go in, you can see that video in a separate spot. But this is all of my information. And then start to scroll down to go through the application. I'm not going to cover all of this, but we've got some workshops, we've got some Q&As. Most importantly, though, I am going to take a minute and pause here on the summary of changes. There are changes to the application and to the process here in 2026 for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. The first is very important. If you are a soup kitchen, you must submit your current DOH food service permit or a completed application. In the past, this was not a requirement for every soup kitchen. Now it is. So please be sure that if you are a soup kitchen, you have the proper DOH food service permit, or that you've at least completed the application. So want to make sure that I point that out. That is a pretty big shift. The mileage rate has changed, 72.5 cents. Delivery of food directly to individuals is not allowable this year. So if you're applying for a grant, for an OS grant, you cannot apply to have the delivery of food to individuals covered. Utilities, however, include water this year. So we have heat, gas, electricity, and water are all eligible utilities. And then capital equipment, when you apply for the grant, the refrigerator or the freezer or the carts or the shelving units or whatever the things are that you're applying for must be fully funded by the funds you are applying for. All right. So those are the changes to this year's application and this year's process. If you have any questions about any of the changes, please feel free to reach out to your contacts at the Regional Food Bank. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to your agency services coordinator. You can reach out to Caitlin, our agency services manager. You can reach out to anybody, and we'd be more than happy to make sure we get the answers to your questions taken care of. All right. So those are the changes for this year. Then we get to this, enter your program name. Mine is Greg's Food Test Site. I don't have a number. If you have a number, please feel free to just put it in there. This is good because it will start to fill in this information as we go along. So it'll autofill some of the information. Now, so that's sort of the start. Now we get into the instructions. I am not going to go through all of the instructions, why you're eligible, what the different funding categories are. I'm not going to do that here. Please feel free to read through them, make sure that what you're applying for is covered, know which of the various categories you need to put through your information in, and so on and so forth. But there's all of that information. All right, so now we get into the general information. Regional Food Bank ID. I don't have one of those, so I'm just gonna jump to test site. I'm gonna click here. I'm a food pantry. I'm gonna say that I'm a food pantry. Now, this is important. Which program type you choose is important because as you go down here, we'll keep going, we'll keep going, we'll keep going. Here's the here's the food pantries questions, right? If I choose a different program type, then the questions that I have to answer are different. So please be sure you choose the correct program type for your program. I'm going to choose food pantry. Funding opportunities, which one of these will you be applying for? Again, the categories and what's covered of them in them are up here. You can read through those, but you'll click on the funding opportunity. Have you been in operation for at least 6 consecutive months? Yes, I have. And is the site address different from my mailing address? No, it is not. Population and needs. So we get in here. We're now a few questions in. Briefly describe the population you serve and factors in your community that cause a need for your services. So, worth 5 points. I am a food pantry in Davenport. I am the only food pantry in Davenport. Special shout out to my friends who are in Davenport and run the food pantry in Davenport. I'm the only food pantry in Davenport, and our food insecurity level is 10%. I serve 35 families, right? So talk a little bit about your community, talk a little bit about the population in your community, talk a little bit about the food insecurity level in your community, all of those different things. What is the population that you serve, and what is the need within your community that shows the need for your organization? Feeding program. Choose at least 2 topics to describe how you manage and implement the feeding program for which you are requesting funds. And then there's a list of things here. So for this one, I'm going to say I source food from the regional food bank. And then I'm going to just say guests visit once a month and have self-choice for the food they take each month, right? So I just take a couple of them. I cover the area in and around Davenport. Take a couple of them, give us a few words, talk to us a little bit about who you are. This, to be honest with you, this is an opportunity for us to learn about your pantry. Most of you know that I oversee our agency service. I, in conjunction with Caitlin, our agency services manager, oversee the agency services coordinators. And one of the things we are trying to do each and every day is build partnerships with the food pantries in our network. This is an opportunity for you to help us build that partnership. If you can take a few sentences and tell us about what you do. Tell us about your organization. Tell us about where you are. Tell us about who you work with. Tell us about the details around your pantry. We're going to be able to, when we visit you, talk a little bit more and build that partnership between who you are and who we are and move forward from there. Provisions. So that's that piece. Provisions of nutritious foods. How do you guarantee nutritious foods? I work with local farmers to provide vegetables year round. Again, beyond those that are sourced from the regional food bank. And then how do you address cultural preferences, dietary needs, and community preferences for your clients? Again, this is our opportunity to learn about who you are as an organization and how you are, sourcing some of the food that the neighbors that you help get. What are your challenges? I have a difficult time finding volunteers. Same sort of thing. Tell us how the grant will improve my program's ability. So I am getting it for capital equipment. I'm going to say that I'm going to purchasing a freezer. A refrigerator. A fridge will allow me to get more vegetables from our local farmers and provide more options to our neighbors in need. Okay. Now, the other thing that I want to point out is as we grade these later, you'll note there's a number of points after each question. 5 for those other ones up there, 7 for this one, 18 for this one. Please keep those points in mind as you fill these various pieces out. Give us details about how the use of funds will support what you're doing. Give us details about how you get nutritious food. Give us details about your program. All of those different pieces are very important. Hours of operation, just fill this out. I'm going to say that I start at 8 and I end at 10 a.m. and this is weekly. So, and then if you're open 24 hours, please note the total. If you operate 24/7, please note the total hours of operations in this area. I'm going to be open weekly. I am not by appointment only, so I would skip that. If you are by appointment only, please fill out that question. Now we get into a couple questions about the food that I provide, that you as an organization provide. How often is fresh produce available? Always. If I offer fresh produce, then I have highly nutritional quality food. Let's say that I do receive a current food grant and that yes, I am a food bank member. Is this primary? So now we get into some of the pantry questions. I am not a mobile pantry. And yes, I have, if this is I'm going to click not applicable here because I'm not a mobile pantry, so therefore I don't have, and again, this would be, I'm typing not applicable here too because I am not a mobile food pantry, so on and so forth. So, how many days worth of food do you provide? 3 for each person. That is the general guidelines. So that's what I provide. I'm going to say that now we get into what is the actual grant for. All right. So mine, again, is for a refrigerator. I'm going to say it's going to cost $2,000. I'm going to get one. I'm going to put a fridge here. I'm going to say, what's the make and model? It's a GE 1000. And I'm going to say that it's $2,000, including delivery fees and everything else. Now, a couple of notes. You need to list each item separately. Do not list each quote separately, just the item. The dollar amount here will be for the lowest vendor quote. You'll need the brand and the model number. Service plans are allowable. Sales tax and haul away are not allowable. You'll also need to get 2 quotes from 2 different vendors for comparable units. That is New York State policy to award the lowest price item. So you'll need to get 2 price quotes, but you'll only put the lowest dollar amount in here. You won't list each of the price quotes in here, just list the lowest price quote. All right. Agency cover costs. How will your agency cover any costs for installing, operating, maintaining, and security? We have a grant from the county government to handle all additional costs. So you just put that in there. And this is where I was talking about. You're going to need to upload 2 different quotes. You'll just click here. You'll upload a file. Let's see here. How is this going to I'm just going to pick here. This is the question list from before. So there's file number 1, and it might take a minute to upload, and then upload file number 2. You'll just do this. I'm just using question list because I just need to upload a PDF, but you'll upload your price quotes in there. Next, grantees must adhere to all stipulations, food service equipment. The grantee stops providing. So there's some other pieces of information. The key is you'll need that the proof of expenses will be due by the end of next May 2027. I know this says 2026, but you'll need to have the required documentations to us by next May. So now we get into some additional funding requirements, the documentation. Remember, you're going to need to provide us documentation. There's a calendar here that you need to keep for your records. Once you get done reading all of this, you go through this, make sure that your executive director clicks I agree. You type in the executive director's name. I type Greg Stapleton, and then I put in today's date, which is March 27th, actually, not the 26th. So you put that in there. And then funding priority, I've only got one thing. So I'm just going to put capital project, capital equipment. I'm going to put the amount required, $2,000, amount requested, $2,000. But if I had multiple requests in multiple categories, it would be which one do I want the most, which one is second, and which one is third, and so on and so forth. So you just go through that. And that is the whole application. Once you're all done with all of that, you can click submit. If you start the application and you need to go find some information, maybe you need to get the price quotes in an electronic form. Whatever the thing is that you need to do, you can save it and come back to it later. In this case, I'm all done. I would click submit application, and that would be the whole process for applying for an OS grant. So thank you for joining us today and watching this video. Once again, my name is Greg Stapleton. I am the Director of Network Services at the Regional Food Bank. This has been a video about how to apply for a HIPNAP OS grant for this year. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to reading all of your applications and hope you have a wonderful day.